Okay, guys. Monaco GP recap and Spain preview. Wow, I don't know. Did I really enjoy Monaco?
It was such a setup for such a race.
Yeah, poor George afterwards. He was going through it. He was actually crashing out. Like that's me.
Yeah.
That's me majority of the time when something doesn't happen that I want to happen. I just crash out, you know?
But it was a very valid crash out. Like, their weekend was absolute trash.
Yeah.
It was one rough thing after the other.
But he got a free dinner out of it.
Thanks to Alex Alvin. I mean, there's not a lot, like, news-wise, but the race has some good points. So we'll just quickly run through the news. So F1 and PepsiCo announces multi-year agreement until 2030.
Yeah, so that's
Ooh.
like stuff like Gatorade and Doritos
Yeah.
and whatnot. Apparently, the person that they've used is Daniel Ricciardo, and I know you love that, so I had to put that in there for you.
All my favorite drivers. Gone. Well, we already kind of knew that he won't be driving for Cadillac next year.
But they confirmed it today.
Yeah, but like he doesn't want to. I don't think he wants to come back to F1. Like
I don't think so.
I think he likes being a mentor for Duhan, but I don't think he ever wants to come back. And I don't blame him. I don't, but that's another story for another day.
Well, I just think that he also doesn't like he enjoys not having the media so much.
Yeah, he
as
wasn't
well.
really.
And isn't he like living in the States now? Isn't he living here now?
I don't know if he lives in Texas or if he lives in Australia.
Yeah, because I've seen him go back and forth quite a lot.
Well, I see him a lot with Scotty, the snowboarder.
Yeah.
And I think they still live in Australia.
Oh.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen him with Josh Allen quite a lot, so that's the only reason I'm asking.
And then here are the constructor standings. So as you guys already know, and if you haven't guessed it, it's McLaren in first with 319 points. And then Mercedes with 147, Red Bull with 143, Ferrari with 142, Williams with 54, Haas with 26, Racing Bulls with 22, Aston Martin with 14, Alpine with 7, and Sauber with 6. I don't think Mercedes is catching up with McLaren anytime soon. That's all I have to say.
Well, after this weekend.
And then we have the driver's standings. It's still a good game between Oscar and Lando, but Oscar is still in first with 161. Lando has 158. Max has 136. George has 99. Charles has 79. Lewis has 63. Kimi has 48. Alex has 42. Esteban has 20. And Isaac Hadjar, top 10 with 15 points, baby.
Yeah, that's my rookie.
So slay for that. Congrats. And then now to the Monaco recap.
Okie dokie. Oh, there was a lot that went on. So, we're starting in FP1, where Lewis flew over a curb to avoid hitting the back of someone. Can't tell you who it is, don't remember, but I remember all the memes saying Air Hamilton, and then we got a picture of Ferrari's floor, so we kind of know what they've been doing. And then Lance impeded Charles and received a one-place grid penalty. The top three were Charles, Max, and Lando. Yes. And then FP2, Isaac went into the wall early on. He was very animated about clipping it. Ironically, where Lewis went over that curb. But he managed to bring it back to the garage. And then Max and his helmet tear-offs, they were not liking each other because Max was like, "These are crap, get them off. Am I wearing a new helmet? Like, what's going on here?" And he was just like completely over it. And then Austin went into the barriers on a push lap. He literally went head on, literally at 90 degrees. So it was a front lockup on both sides of the front, and he only lost the front wing, which is pretty good. They were able to put a new wing on, and he was able to continue. And all of that happened within the first 20 minutes of the session. So we were like, bang, 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 bang. Like, everything was just happening. And I was like, whoa, hold on. This is only FP2. Chill out. And then later on, Isaac went into the wall again. This time he had a suspension damage, and he also took a sponsorship off the walls. Nice. Later on, Max couldn't get his car into reverse, and him and GP were talking, and GP suggested something, and Max was like, "Don't you think I already did that? I'm not an idiot." And I was like, "Okay, Max, chill out. We're just suggesting here that you do this." And then Franco was P20, and he wasn't even close to P19. Like, there were seconds between him and P19, and he wasn't even close to the top. So I was like, ooh, not a good look. But then the top three were Charles, Oscar, and Lewis. And then over to FP3. Just a disclaimer, this is the one that I didn't watch because I was asleep. Well, actually, I woke up, I turned it on, and then I fell back asleep.
I watched the highlights.
I didn't even do the. Well, I did watch the highlights to do the notes, but that's besides the point. But Lewis crashed right away in Massenet. And then Isaac almost ran into Yuki in the tunnel. And then Ollie got handed a 10-place grid penalty due to overtaking Carlos in the red flag from one of the earlier free practices. But my thing with this is, where did you want him to go? Did you want Ollie to go into the wall then? Or did you want him to go straight into Carlos? Because there was no way he could have slowed down in time. Like, I think he did the right thing by staying the speed, because Carlos was off to the side, but there was nowhere for Ollie to go until, like, yeah, timing was just bad, and I feel bad for Ollie. And I
low-key keeps getting done dirty. Sorry.
But I also low-key think it's because of some of his comments from last weekend about the stewards. So, yeah, there's also that. But top three, Charles, Max, and Lando. Over to qualifying. The first five out were Franco, Lance, Pierre, Ollie, and Gabby. Both Mercedes were out in Q2. Kimi crashed heading into Q2, so his time was fast enough to get him into Q2. However, he did not run in Q2. And then George's car stopped in the tunnel. It was low-key a really tense and scary situation to be stopping at that point.
Luckily, he was on the outside, so everyone coming in could at least see him at one point and were able to get out of his way. If he had been on the inside, I think something bad could have happened. Everyone was like literally like, "Oh crap!" Because I remember watching him like, "Oh gosh," because you watch it happen. Like, it wasn't like I was watching someone else. You literally watch him just completely stop, and he's like freaking out. And they're like, "Well, power like." The car was still on, like there was still power, and they're like, "Is the power out? Like, what happened? Is it off?" They're like, he's like, "No, you can clearly see there's power." And so they told him to restart it, and it didn't work. So like they didn't know what was wrong. So that made it a very long Q2, just waiting to see. It was interesting, and I was just like, "Well, crap. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a great prediction, am I, this week?"
Yeah, when you texted me that George was out in Q2, and I was like, oh, right.
I texted her, I'm like, I give up. I give up. The Mercedes aren't having a good weekend. I am not winning at predictions this week. Anyways, yeah, Mercedes were just gonna have a good weekend. Anyways, moving on.
So that being said, next 5 out were Kimi, George, Nico, Yuki, and Carlos. Don't know what happened in Q3, honestly. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I can. I mean, it was really good. It was very close. Like they were just popping out like fast, like race times, one after the other. I couldn't really talk about how people got out, because I was like doing multiple things at once, but I did watch it, especially the ending when it was literally a race between Charles, Lando, at one point Hamilton and Max. And at one point I'm literally in my car and I just see Hamilton, like, because there's only like, I think at this point like maybe 20 seconds on the clock or something. You see Hamilton get first, then you see Charles takes the first, like he gets first, the race is done, like time's over, and then Lando makes it through the finish line and beats him by literally, I think it was 0.0 something. Like it wasn't like, it doesn't even look like it should have happened, but it did. Everyone was shocked. I'm like, oh, Charles just got like first, and then no, like seconds later it's Lando, and I'm like, what? I'm like, if you go and look at the results, like if I pull it up right now, well, where is it? I'm not, it's fine. Go over it later. Anyways, just look it up on the F1 app. The seconds between them is absolutely insane because it's not even a second. It's a point something other second. And I was just like, there's no way that just happened. Which really made for a good setup for the race. And then the race was just the race. We'll kind of talk about that later. But it ended with Lando getting first, Charles getting second, and I think it was Oscar getting third. Oh yeah, because it was also Oscar was up there. So Oscar beat out, I think, Hamilton, which pushed Max down. Max couldn't make the time up. And so then the setup was Lando, Charles, and Oscar. And I was like, okay, Papa. It was something like that. I don't remember.
No, that looks right based on the notes. But then your boy Isaac Hadjar in 6th, Fernando in 7th, Esteban 8th, Liam Lawson in the top 10 for like the first time in like forever, and then Alex Albon rounding out the top 10.
It's a good race.
But we'll go on to the podium and then we'll do our race recap. So Lando won, Charles in 2nd, and Oscar in 3rd. That was our podium. 4th through 10th, Max, Lewis, Isaac, Esteban, Liam, Alex, and then Carlos. And then 11th to the rest of the field. George, Ollie, Franco, Gabby, Lance, Nico, Yuki, and then Kimi. Wow, that's so unfortunate for Kimi. And then Fernando and Pierre had DNFs. Well, we all saw Pierre's car. And then Fernando had like some mechanical issue again. So he really should have been in the points, I'm not gonna lie, but that's unfortunate for him.
He has great qualifying. He usually does pretty great in qualifying, and he has some good free practice runs and sprints. It's just when he gets to the race, it does not work out for him lately. He just either DNFs or he gets up there, but it's not strong enough to get.
Well, I heard that he had an issue with his power unit, so maybe taking on a new power unit for this weekend will help.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I can cross. But yeah, I mean, poor Fernando. But to our race recap, so lap 1, turn 1, Lando locks up, and I am holding my breath. I'm like, oh, please just make the corner. Please don't go into the wall. Please. He doesn't, and we move from there. A couple laps later, well, no, this was still the first lap. Kimi and Gabby were fighting and like on track. And Gabby made a move on Kimmy, and then the next corner, Kimmy made one back, and he low-key put Gabby into the wall, but he left him space, so... but then it went green before going to a VSC, so that's great. That resulted in Yuki, Pierre, Ollie, and Gabby all pitting early, because remember, Monaco's the 2-stop now, so you have to stop twice. So teams were like, oh, let's just pit early, and then we can pit again, and we'll go long. That didn't end up working very well, but that's besides the point. So VSC ended lap 4, and then on lap 9, we got another yellow because Pierre hit he lost his front right wing, because he hit the back of Yuki. Should he have driven the car back to the pit lane on that?
No, absolutely not. That was a crazy move. I mean, he did it, and congrats to that. But I think the issue is he brought debris with him, or at least scattered some debris, which then turned into an issue. It wasn't the smartest thing in the world, but he made it. But it definitely could have led to some serious issues if not done in the correct time or speed or mindset. That's all I have to say on that part. Definitely was kind of dumb.
Well, when you're in a tractor.
That's honestly so true. But you know what? And it's true what they say about tractors. If you're from the South and you're driving down the road and you see a tractor up ahead, you know what? It's first taking up half the road, and then 2, it's taking its ever-loving time to get down the road when you could be going 60 miles per hour. And you have to work your way around that. And if you aren't paying attention, you're taking the car with you. So, probably ain't the smartest thing to do. Gonna cause you some issues. You definitely don't drive a tractor on the highway going 70. So was it the smartest thing? No, it was not. I'm gonna leave that there for you.
I don't know what just happened.
Just saying. I love my fellow farmers. But, ooh, boy, when I'm trying to get home after a long day and they're just going like 10 miles per hour and a 55, you got to be kidding me. Or if I'm going to the beach, pull over a little more.
Anyways, we went green again on lap 11. During this whole thing, we got Max versus Oscar around that corner where the debris was. Max was trying to overtake Oscar, but Oscar was like, yo, this is a yellow and there's a front wing right there. Where do you want me to go? Because I'm not running over the front wing. So we got a little bit there. And then lap 15, Hadjar pitted for softs. Not so sure what the call was. Well, that was because I'll get to that in a second. And then around lap 23, Lando pits, and then they pitted Oscar next. That was to try and force Ferrari to pit Charles, which ended up happening. And then lap 43, Oscar almost went into the barriers, kind of drifted into it, just a smidge bit. And so back to what I was talking about. So we did see teammates creating a gap to help score double points. So we saw Liam do it for Isaac, and we also saw both the Williams do it to get double points. But then George ended up taking a double drive-through penalty for cutting a corner to overtake Alex. That was lap 50. He was just sick and tired of staying behind the Williams there, and
I don't blame
that
him.
didn't really work out for him because he took a lot of tried a double drive through, and did he get a 10-second penalty as well? I don't really know. But then Max was low key backing up Lando, which resulted in him kind of being more of a teammate to Charles than Lewis. But yeah, and then RB and Max, they were trying to wait for a red flag to try and win the race, but that didn't happen, and they had to pit Max.
Look, that was such a stupid play. I'm like, y'all are really hoping for something to pop out when everyone's literally going just the most normal speed possible on this racetrack. The only things that have happened were earlier in the race, and you're expecting someone to crash on the last couple of laps. You're putting a lot of faith into something that is like literally a 50-50 chance. If they had just pitted him earlier in the race, I honestly could have seen him maybe winning this race. But that's just saying something. I don't even know, because it was such a stupid play to hope that in the last couple of laps someone was gonna wreck.
I will disagree on that, just because they let him stay out later than what, right? For the first round of pit stops.
I thought he pitted like earlier in the race.
I think had they pitted twice earlier, there was no way, because they did a different strategy with Yuki. They pitted Yuki early, and then he just got stuck. So I feel like had they done something similar to Max, well, then they should have followed when the McLarens, or when when Ferrari was pitting Charles. But he was starting 5th, right? So there was, like,
I don't know. There was definitely some like flawed strategies, and I know that they were trying and praying for something to happen, but like literally when I was watching the race at the last point, I was like, what do they think is gonna happen? Like, you're really putting a lot of faith into like a 50-50 chance. And even that 50-50 chance is iffy, because like, and then they were just like, well, we'll just pit him on the last, was it the last 2 laps or something like that? And I was like, it still doesn't matter. He's not going to get through that lane and get back in front and and still win the race. Like, there's just no way. Because they were all literally on top of each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally don't know what they were trying to do there, other than hoping that there would be a red flag or something. And that, still, even with the red flag, I don't know if that would have done anything fully in their favor, but maybe I'm just thinking way too out of the box.
Well, the red flag stops the race.
That's true.
Like, it would end it. That's what happened with F2, correct?
Yeah, it is. I'm just saying, like, that's really grasping at something. I don't know. It was just not a.
But, we have to give them kudos, because at least that they remembered that it was a 2-stop, unlike Mercedes.
Oh, I literally, like, what was going through their freaking mind this last weekend? Because, like, nothing was going the way they wanted it to. And I don't know. Like, I feel for George and Kimmy, because I'm like, y'all must have been pissed.
It was a disaster class, let me just tell you that. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Okay, let's move on, because we've talked a lot.
So you guys know we do our leaderboard. We're making our podium predictions. So last week, Juli had Oscar, George, and then Lando, and I had Lando, George, then Alex. Juli got 2 points because she got both Oscar and Lando on the podium, so she is up to 26 points, whereas I got 6 points because I got Lando and I got him in the correct spot, so I got +6. So now I'm up to 31, and I have a 5-point lead now.
Oh, I really need one for the. Come on, Lando! I need you to win this next race, because I'm rooting for you this time.
But so just a Spain preview here. So the first GP was in 1991. It's a total of 66 laps. Well, a lap around is 4.657 kilometers. The race distance is 307.236 kilometers, and the lap record is held by Max Verstappen himself, set in 2023 with a 1 minute 16.33. Last year's podium was Max, Lando, and Lewis. So to this week's race.
I'm gonna say it again. Lando. Freaking one time, I don't say he wins. He freaking wins. Tell me how that's even possible. I'm living up to a jinx. I want to win, but it's also like, should I? Because every time I keep saying the opposite thing, the other thing happens, and I'm not mad about it, but I don't know. I'm gonna say Max in a second. I'm just throwing some crap out there, and you know what? I don't know. I've given up. I don't know. I'm not saying George. I don't know. Y'all know, every time we have to do this, I literally crash out on my own thoughts, because I'm like, no. I give up. I don't know. Oh, I mean, I could even say Oscar at this point. It's literally just my guess from last. No, it's not. I want to say George again because hashtag I kind of like George, but I live for his sassy Regina style. But after this last weekend, I don't know. Or maybe he'll come up with like a revenge plot and he wants to. I don't know. I don't know. Did you notice how Oscar seems more excited when Lando wins than when he wins? Have you seen like his nonchalant attitude when he wins, and then when Lando wins, he's all like, "Yeah,
Really?
yeah."
That's kind of funny.
Right? Lando. Part of me always says Carlos in the back of my mind, but I'll never see him again. Watch. Everything I just said right there means nothing. It's just gonna be so incorrect because I can't freaking do a prediction without basically jinxing myself. I don't even believe in jinx, but at this point, my computer's about to die.
So while you're doing that, my predictions for this week. I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot, and I'm gonna go Max Verstappen is going to win. The reason being he is on a podium, non-podium streak. And I think that their upgrades that they're supposed to be bringing this week are supposed to be really good, and really help the car. So I kind of feel like we could be in for another Red Bull domination here. And then second place, I will go. I think I almost have to go Lando. And then my third place. See, with third place, it's tricky because I want to say George, but I know Mercedes that the upgrades that they brought for Monaco didn't work. And that was just an overall. It wasn't a circuit specific upgrade. So it depends on what specs Mercedes are running. But I could also go with a Williams because they have good straight line speed. And this is a very straight line speed based circuit. I'll do that. And I will go with Carlos. Because it's his home race as well. So what better, right?
You literally just did the one that I was gonna do earlier, and I was like, nah. So if it wins, I'm just the jinx in general.
So we'll see. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed Julie's mini crash out again. Reminiscing on last week. But yeah, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications for our channel because we have some fantastic and special stuff upcoming in June. And you don't want to miss it because honestly, guys, we're going to be together for the first time in over a year. Like actually together in the same room and not like 8 hours apart. So you want to stay tuned for that. And we will be live streaming more. And that's what we did to celebrate our 1 year.